Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Maxwell Laurentino, and this is my final project for the Arts and Performance Entrepreneurship class. Um, I'm excited for the end of the year, and here's my presentation. So, I want to be a visual artist, more specifically an illustrator, and I really like creating original works, and I have always in my life been one for illustrating. I've always been drawing. I've wanted to be in animation as well, but illustration is really what uh, right now I'm most focused on. And in most of my classes, I've taken into consideration this want for illustration. And in my projects, I do a lot of illustration work, which we'll see later. I believe I have the skills necessary to be an illustrator, as I have such abilities as creativity, technical and practical skills, and consistency when it comes to my work. I can make multiple of the same in a series, and when it comes to uh, deadlines and whatnot, I usually come through. Through an entrepreneurial angle, I see the ability to illustrate as a really great angle for creating a business. I mean, all we see is art when it comes to any product. And I think that illustration work is really important when it comes to marketing and whatnot, especially if the product itself is the art. In the professional documentation section for CV, I wrote that I have composition, problem solving, iteration, reiteration, consistency, time efficiency, articulation, and illustration skills. These skills are really important for any artist. And I find that these are perfect for someone who wants an illustration job. And more specifically, the iteration and reiteration and time efficiency, because you want to have multiple variations of the same idea to see what's best, what works the best for the product or whatever media you're trying to make illustrations for. My training includes SolidWorks, AutoCAD, Adobe Suite, 2D and 3D drawing, and abstract and representational painting. My SolidWorks and AutoCAD background from when I was in trade school is useful in terms of the practical skills that I learned from using those programs. More specifically, the designing of drafting things like houses and whatnot. But it could be used for illustration. And of course, in college, I learned about the Adobe Suite and my drawing and painting techniques, which are definitely going to come in useful for illustration work. For my credentials, I'm already seeing in the future and saying that I already have a bachelor's in arts for studio art, and I already have ADDA certification from, once again, from my trade school. So I'm hoping that these two things will sway the application director to hiring me. For the bio section, I wrote, I am a studio artist based in South Florida with a focus on illustrating expressive drawings. I started my artistic education with studying drafting and architecture in high school. Though I graduated with an ADDA certification, I decided to continue my education with a refocus on studio art. While I do assert myself as primarily being an illustrator, my college education enabled me to develop a variety of artistic skills, lending to my versatility as an artist. For my targeted resume, I wrote, I am a studio artist based in South Florida with a focus on illustrating expressive drawings. While most of my work is character-oriented, which you will see later in this presentation, I have experience drawing environments, atmosphere, and the ephemeral. This matters because while I am driven towards illustrating expressive characters, I also have the versatility to tackle any sort of project that is placed before me. For my portfolio evidence, I brought pictures. These are two of my most recent artworks that I made for another class of mine. These showcase my ability as an illustrator. I am able to represent real world objects, but give them character or personality. And I hope you guys can see that. And then I have two other artworks that I made in other classes. And one is actually what I submitted for an exhibition. And yeah, you can see that, once again, I have versatility. I'm not just an illustrator, but I'm using the skills I've learned in my other classes to put into my illustrations. So for my SWOT analysis, for strengths, I wrote I have a diverse skill set, which I hope I showcased in my portfolio. I'm a quick learner, which you can see in my other classes. I never struggle. Usually I pick things up really quickly. So I'm hoping that is put forward when I start working. and I'm consistent. I always, you know, have my work done on time, and it's never just like chaotic or anything. It's always there. But for weaknesses, I wrote that I'm not a master of any skill. Jack of all trades is a master of none. So I do need to apply myself if I'm learning something new, and I will need time to learn that. For opportunities, there are many avenues of illustration work. I mean, I'm already talking to people who, networking with people who work at Disney. So I'm hoping that maybe I could get something there, and or other companies like that. But threats are artificial intelligence, and AI is taking up illustration roles left and right. I mean, you could even see it in the advertisements we see today on television, that a lot of the stuff there is just artificial intelligence, really. So that's a little scary, but I'm hoping I can pull through. So for my SMART goals, I wrote that I specifically want to have an internship related to illustration by the end of the year. I'm really hoping that I can attain this because it'll set me up for when I actually apply for a full-time job. This is measurable because, it's either I get it or I don't by the end of the semester. And so, it's just a binary. And it's attainable because I've seen it. There's a bunch of opportunities out there. I just haven't found the right one so far. And, it's always nice to have free labor. So I already know that there's a bunch of opportunities. This is relevant to my field because I want to be an illustrator. So if I'm able to intern as an illustrator at some company, that's going to be great for my unraveling as an artist. And this is time bound because, once again, I have just a few months left before I graduate. So I got to pick up the pace. So for my III analysis, I wrote that I'm learning all sorts of 2D and 3D skills. And I'm going to be using that in my immersion to apply it to the work I'm working on right now and, elevate it. And then for my imagination is when I come to making my own original work with my own artistic style. I'm going to pick and choose what I've learned and turn it into my own. For my future biography and action, I said, as a professional artist, I find myself becoming a consistent and dependable illustrator. I envision a life where I become a reliable facet of an illustration team. I've already said multiple times with people who I work with and who I'm around that I see myself as a cog in the machine. And that's why I want to be a part of a team. I don't want to be a solo act, at least for now. And my professional documentation reflects the former by showcasing my growth in a short period of time. And by that, I mean my resume. And it shows that I've learned so much in such a short period of time of being in university. So for my strategy, I plan on, as I've said before, getting an internship to get me into the industry. For craft, I need to strengthen my conceptual development as my concepts right now are a little lacking. My alignment, I have extensive experience drawing and illustrating, so this shouldn't be a problem. My leverage is I have been in high-profile meetings and events that have led me to networking, and I'm hoping to use that to have my reach to potential employers. And my execution is I will develop my skills and hopefully opportunities will come through with my development. For strategic planning, I plan on using branding to market what makes me and my artwork unique to build an audience that finds my style attractive. When it comes to my brand, I will go from seeing myself as a cog in the machine to being the sole decision maker and overseer of operations. I will use my III framework to practice the skills I have learned to then apply them to my own artwork. I will use the SMART framework to plan out future endeavors so I can tackle them efficiently. I will make sure that me and my art are the foremost part of my brand. That way it becomes synonymous with me. So for my closing pitch, why hire me? Well, I think I've showcased very well in this presentation that I am up for the task. I have the skills necessary. I've showcased my abilities. I demonstrated that I'm able to do illustration work. Maybe you could tell from the way I'm speaking that I'm a learned individual and that I'm great at communicating these ideas. So I think that I'd be really great for the team. Other than that, thank you for your time and consideration. Have a great one.